The Great Smoky Mountains are a mountain range rising along the Tennessee-North Carolina border in the southeastern United States. They are a subrange of the Appalachian Mountains, and form part of the Blue Ridge Physiographic Province. The range is sometimes called the Smoky Mountains, and the name is commonly shortened to the Smokies. The Great Smokies are best known as the home of the Great Smoky Mountains National Park, which protects most of the range. The park was established in 1934, and, with over 9 million visits per year, it is the most visited national park in the United States. The Great Smokies are part of an international biosphere reserve. The range is home to an estimated 187,000 acres of old-growth forest, constituting the largest such stand east of the Mississippi River. The cove hardwood forests in the range's lower elevations are among the most diverse ecosystems in North America, and the southern Appalachian spruce fir forest that coats the range's upper elevations is the largest of its kind. The Great Smokies are also home to the densest black bear population in the eastern United States and the most diverse salamander population outside of the tropics. Along with the Biosphere Reserve, the Great Smokies have been designated a UNESCO World Heritage Site. The U.S. National Park Service preserves and maintains 78 structures within the national park that were once part of the numerous small Appalachian communities scattered throughout the range's river valleys and coves. The park contains 5 historic districts and 9 individual listings on the National Register of Historic Places. The name Smoky comes from the natural fog that often hangs over the range and presents as large smoke plumes from a distance. This fog is caused by the vegetation exhaling volatile organic compounds, chemicals that have a high vapor pressure and easily form vapors at normal temperature and pressure. Geography. The Great Smoky Mountains stretch from the Pigeon River in the northeast to the Little Tennessee River to the southwest. The northwestern half of the range gives way to a series of elongate ridges known as the foothills, the outermost of which include Chiloe Mountain and English Mountain. The range is roughly bounded on the south by the Tuckasegee River and to the southeast by Soaker Creek and Jonathan Creek. The Great Smokies comprise parts of Blount County, Sevier County, and Cook County in Tennessee and Swain County and Haywood County in North Carolina. The sources of several rivers are located in the Smokies, including the Little Pigeon River, the Oconaluftee River, and Little River. Streams in the Smokies are part of the Tennessee River watershed and thus entirely west of the Eastern Continental Divide. The largest stream wholly within the park is Abrams Creek, which rises in Cades Cove and empties into the Chiloe Lake impoundment of the Little Tennessee River near Chiloe Dam. Other major streams include Hazel Creek and Eagle Creek in the southwest, Raven Fork near Oconaluftee, Cosby Creek near Cosby, and Roaring Fork near Gatlinburg. The Little Tennessee River passes through 5 impoundments along the range's southwestern boundary, namely Tellico Lake, Chiloe Lake, Calderwood Lake, Cheoah Lake, and Fontana Lake. Notable peaks. The highest point in the Smokies is Clingman's Dome, which rises to an elevation of 6,643 feet. The mountain is the highest in Tennessee and the 3rd highest in the Appalachian Range. Clingman's Dome also has the range's highest topographical prominence at 4,503 feet. Mount LeConte is the tallest mountain in the range, rising 5,301 feet from its base in Gatlinburg to its 6,593-foot summit. Climb at the Smokies rise prominently above the surrounding low terrain. For example, Mount LeConte rises more than a mile above its base. Because of the prominence, the Smokies receive heavy annual amounts of precipitation. Annual precipitation amounts range from 50 to 80 inches, and snowfall in the winter can be heavy, especially on the higher slopes. For comparison, the surrounding terrain has annual precipitation of around 40 to 50 inches. Flooding often occurs after heavy rain. In 2004, the remnants of Hurricane Francis caused major flooding, landslides, and high winds, which was soon followed by Hurricane Ivan, making the situation worse. Other post-hurricanes, including Hurricane Hugo in 1989, have caused similar damage in the Smokies. Geology. Most of the rocks in the Great Smoky Mountains consist of late Precambrian rocks that are part of a formation known as the Ocoee supergroup. The Ocoee supergroup consists primarily of slightly metamorphosed sandstones, phyllites, schists, and slate. Early Precambrian rocks, which include the oldest rocks in the Smokies, comprise the dominant rock type in the Raven Fork Valley and Upper Tuckasegee River between Cherokee and Bryson City. They consist primarily of metamorphic gneiss, granite, and schist. Cambrian sedimentary rocks are found among the outer reaches of the foothills to the northwest and in limestone coves such as Cades Cove. The Precambrian gneiss and schists, the oldest rocks in the Smokies, formed over 1 billion years ago from the accumulation of marine sediments and igneous rock in a primordial ocean. In the late Precambrian period, this ocean expanded, and a more recent Ocoee supergroup rocks formed from accumulations of the eroding land mass onto the ocean's continental shelf. By the end of the Paleozoic era, the ancient ocean had deposited a thick layer of marine sediments which left behind sedimentary rocks such as limestone. During the Ordovician period, the North American and African plates collided, destroying the ancient ocean and initiating the Alleghanian orogeny, the mountain-building epoch that created the Appalachian Range. The Mesozoic era saw the rapid erosion of the softer sedimentary rocks from the new mountains, re-exposing the older Ocoee supergroup formations. Around 20,000 years ago, subarctic glaciers advanced southward across North America, and although they never reached the Smokies, the advancing glaciers led to colder mean annual temperatures and an increase in precipitation throughout the range. Trees were unable to survive at the higher elevations and were replaced by tundra vegetation. Spruce fir forests occupied the valleys and slopes below approximately 4,950 feet. The persistent freezing and thawing during this period created the large block fields that are often found at the base of large mountain slopes. Between 16,500 and 12,500 years ago, the glaciers to the north retreated and mean annual temperatures rose. The tundra vegetation disappeared, and the spruce fir forests retreated to the highest elevations. Hardwood trees moved into the region from the coastal plains, replacing the spruce fir forests in the lower elevations. The temperatures continued warming until around 6,000 years ago, when they began to gradually grow cooler. Flora. Heavy logging in the late 19th century and early 20th century devastated much of the forests of the Smokies, but the National Park Service estimates 187,000 acres of old-growth forest remains, comprising the largest old-growth stand in the eastern United States. Most of the forest is a mature second-growth hardwood forest. The range's 1,600 species of flowering plants include over 100 species of native trees and 100 species of native shrubs. The Great Smokies are also home to over 450 species of non-vascular plants and 2,000 species of fungi. The forests of the Smokies are typically divided into 3 zones: the cove hardwood forests in the stream valleys, coves, and lower mountain slopes. The northern hardwood forests on the higher mountain slopes, the spruce-fir arboreal forest at the very highest elevations. Appalachian balds, patches of land where trees are unexpectedly absent or sparse, are interspersed through the mid to upper elevations in the range. Balds include grassy balds, which are highland meadows covered primarily by thick grasses, and heath balds, which are dense thickets of rhododendron and mountain laurel typically occurring on narrow ridges. Mixed oak pine forests are found on dry ridges, especially on the south-facing North Carolina side of the range. Stands dominated by the eastern hemlock are occasionally found along streams and broad slopes above 3,500 feet. Cove hardwood forests, which are native to southern Appalachia, are among the most diverse forest types in North America. The cove hardwood forests of the Smokies are mostly second growth, although some 72,000 acres are still old growth. The Albright Grove along the Madron Bald Trail is an accessible old-growth forest with some of the oldest and tallest trees in the entire range. Over 130 species of trees are found among the canopies of the cove hardwood forests in the Smokies. The dominant species include yellow birch, basswood, yellow buckeye, tulip tree, silverbells, sugar maple, cucumber magnolia, shagbark hickory, Carolina hemlock and eastern hemlock. The American chestnut, which was arguably the most beloved tree of the range's pre-park inhabitants, was killed off by the introduced chestnut blight in the 1920s. The understories of the cove hardwood forest contain dozens of species of shrubs and vines. Dominant species in the Smokies include the eastern redbud, flowering dogwood, catawba rhododendron, mountain laurel, and smooth hydrangea. Northern hardwood forest. The mean annual temperatures in the higher elevations in the Smokies are cool enough to support forest types more commonly found in the northern United States. The northern hardwood forests of the Smokies constitute the highest broad-leaved forest in the eastern United States. About 28,600 acres of the northern hardwood forest are old growth. In the Smokies, the northern hardwood canopies are dominated by yellow birch and American beech. White basswood, mountain maple and striped maple, and yellow buckeye are also present. The northern hardwood understory is home to diverse species such as coneflower, skunk goldenrod, Rugel's ragwort, bloodroot, hydrangea, and several species of grasses and ferns. One unique community in the northern hardwoods of the Smokies is the beech gap or beech orchard. Beech gaps consist of high mountain gaps that have been monopolized by beech trees. The beech trees are often twisted and contorted by the high winds that occur in these gaps. Why other tree types such as the red spruce fail to encroach into the beech gaps is unknown. Spruce fir forest. The spruce fir forest, also called the boreal or pea Canadian forest, is a relict of the Ice Ages, when mean annual temperatures in the Smokies were too cold to support a hardwood forest, while the rise in temperatures between 12,500 and 6,000 years ago allowed the hardwoods to return. The spruce fir forest has managed to survive on the harsh mountain tops, typically above 5,500 feet. About 10,600 acres of the spruce fir forest are old growth. The spruce fir forest consists primarily of two conifer species, red spruce and Fraser fir. The Fraser firs, which are native to southern Appalachia, once dominated elevations above 6,200 feet in the Great Smokies. Most of these firs were killed, however, by an infestation of the balsam woolly adelgid, which arrived in the Smokies in the early 1960s. Thus, red spruce is now the dominant species in the range's spruce fir forest. Large stands of dead Fraser firs remain atop Clingman's Dome and on the northwestern slopes of Old Black. While much of the red spruce stands in the Smokies were logged during World War I, the tree is still common throughout the range above 5,500 feet. Some of the red spruce trees in the Smokies are believed to be 300 years old, and the tallest rise to over 100 feet. The main difference between the spruce fir forests of southern Appalachia and the spruce fir forests in northern latitudes is the dense broadleaf understory of the former. The spruce fir understories of the Smokies are home to Catawba rhododendron, mountain ash, pin cherry, thornless blackberry, and hobblebush. The herbaceous and little heirs of the spruce fir forests are poorly lit year-round, and are thus dominated by shade-tolerant plants such as ferns, namely mountainwood fern and northern lady fern, and over 280 species of mosses. Wildflowers. Many wildflowers grow in mountains and valleys of the Great Smokies, including bee balm, Solomon's seal, Dutchman's breeches, various trilliums, the dragon's advocate, and even hardy orchids. There are 2 native species of rhododendron in the area. The Catawba rhododendron has purple flowers in May and June, while the Rose Bay rhododendron has longer leaves and blooms white or a light pink in June and July. The orange to sometimes red-flowered and deciduous flame azalea closely follows along with the Catawbas. The closely related mountain laurel blooms in between the two, and all of the blooms progress from lower to higher elevations. The reverse is true in autumn, when nearly bare mountaintops covered in rime ice can be separated from green valleys by very bright and varied leaf colors. The rhododendrons of broadleafs, whose leaves droop in order to shed wet and heavy snows that come through the region during winter. Fauna. The Great Smoky Mountains are home to 66 species of mammals, over 240 species of birds, 43 species of amphibians, 60 species of fish, and 40 species of reptiles. The range has the densest black bear population east of the Mississippi River. The black bear has come to symbolize wildlife in the Smokies, and the animal frequently appears on the covers of the Great Smoky Mountains National Parks literature. Most of the range's adult eastern black bears weigh between 100 pounds and 300 pounds, although some grow to more than 500 pounds. Other mammals in the Great Smokies include the white-tailed deer, the population of which drastically expanded with the creation of the national park. The bobcat is the range's only remaining wildcat species, although sightings of mountain lions, which once thrived in the area, are still occasionally reported. The coyote is not believed to be native to the range, but has moved into the area in recent years and is treated as a native species. 2 species of fox, the red fox and the gray fox, are found in the Smokies, with red foxes being documented at all elevations. European boar, introduced as game animals in the early 20th century, thrive in southern Appalachia but are considered a nuisance due to the tendency to root up and destroy plants. The boars are seen as taking food resources away from bears as well, and the Park Service has sponsored a program that pays individuals to hunt and kill boars and leave the bodies in locations frequented by bears. The Smokies are home to over 24 species of rodents, including the endangered northern flying squirrel, and 10 species of bats, including the endangered Indiana bat. The National Park Service has successfully reintroduced river otters and elk into the Great Smokies. An attempt to reintroduce the red wolf in the early 1990s ultimately failed. The Smokies are home to a diverse bird population due to the presence of multiple forest types. Species that thrive in southern hardwood forests, such as the red-eyed vireo, wood thrush, wild turkey, northern parula, ruby-throated hummingbird, and tufted titmouse, are found throughout the range's lower elevations and cove hardwood forests. species more typical of cooler climates, such as the northern raven, winter wren, black-capped chickadee, yellow-bellied sapsucker, dark-eyed junco, and blackburnian, chestnut-sided, and Canada warblers, are found in the range's spruce fir and northern hardwood zones. Ovenbirds, whippoorwills, and downy woodpeckers live in the drier pine oak forests and heath balds. Bald eagles and golden eagles have been spotted at all elevations in the park. Peregrine falcon sightings are also not uncommon, and a peregrine falcon eyrie is known to have existed near Alum Cave Bluffs throughout the 1930s. Red-tailed hawks, the most common hawk species, have been sighted at all elevations in the range. Owl species residing in the Smokies include the barred owl, eastern screech owl, and northern saw-whet owl. Timber rattlesnakes, one of two venomous snake species in the Smokies, are found at all elevations in the range. The other venomous snake, the copperhead, is typically found at lower elevations. Other reptiles include the eastern box turtle, the fence lizard, the black rat snake, and the northern water snake. The Great Smokies are home to one of the world's most diverse salamander populations. 5 of the world's 9 families of salamanders are found in the range, consisting of up to 31 species. A type of Jordan salamander known as the red-cheeked salamander is found only in the Smokies. The imitator salamander is found only in the Smokies and the nearby Plot Balsams and Great Balsam Mountains. 2 other species, the southern gray-cheeked salamander and the southern Appalachian salamander, occur only in the general region. Other species include the shovel-nosed black-belly salamander, eastern red-spotted newt, and spotted dusky salamander. The legendary hellbender inhabits the range's swift streams. Other amphibians include the American toad and the American bullfrog, wood frog, upland chorus frog, northern green frog, and spring peeper. Fish inhabiting the streams of the Smokies include trout, lamprey, darter, shiner, bass, and sucker. The brook trout is the only trout species native to the range, although northwestern rainbow trout and European brown trout were introduced in the first half of the 20th century. The larger rainbow and brown trout outcompete the native brook trout for food and habitat at lower elevations. As such, most of the brook trout found in the park today are in streams above 3,000 feet in elevation. Trout in the Smokies are generally smaller than other members of the species in different locales. Protected fish species in the range include the smoky and yellowfin madtom, the spotfin chub, and the dusky-tailed darter. The lightning bug firefly Phytinus carolinus, whose synchronized flashing light displays occur in mid-June, is native to the Smoky Mountains with a population epicenter near Elkmont, Tennessee. Ecosystem threats. Air pollution may be contributing to increased red spruce tree mortality at higher elevations and oak decline at lower elevations, while invasive hemlock woolly adelgids attack hemlocks and balsam woolly adelgids attack Fraser firs. Pseudocymnus sugi, a type of beetle in the ladybug family, Coccinellidae, has been introduced in an attempt to control the pests. Visibility now is dramatically reduced by smog from both the southeastern United States and the Midwest, and smog forecasts are prepared daily by the Environmental Protection Agency for both nearby Knoxville, Tennessee and Asheville, North Carolina. Environmental threats are the concern of many non-profit environmental stewardship groups, especially the Friends of the Smokies. Formed in 1993, the Friends Group assists the National Park Service in its mission to preserve and protect the Great Smoky Mountains National Park by raising funds and public awareness, and providing volunteers for needed projects.